have a few example reports, just things that you might want to schedule. So I've pulled a few of them as examples here. We have, you could have like a tutoring sessions assessment report. Um, and you can run those daily, weekly, monthly, however frequently you want to run those. We also have what's scheduled. Maybe you want to know your daily schedule for if I was like a tutor or an admin, and maybe I want to know what's happening that day. You can have a daily scheduled appointments report go out. um, we can take a look at a few of these in the system. Um, and another popular one is doing like a weekly instructor report, where maybe you want to report back to the instructors what reports, what students came into your center rather. Um, and some other ones, we have monthly student visits. Might be nice to see, who's coming in throughout that semester, um, just to see maybe the usage of your tutors, and if you need more staff maybe in the next coming month. Um, we also have some traffic analysis that you could schedule weekly or monthly that are pretty good. And then we have other ones like center visits report. Maybe you want to pull that every semester, so you schedule that every few months or something like that. But we'll see how you can schedule all these different types of reports, and these are the steps. So first, you want to determine what information you want to show in the report and how you want that to send out. The frequency. So I've kind of, when I was looking at the other reports page, like laid out, some examples of maybe the timing that you would use. But it should, if you're used to sending out reports for your center, or, like the frequency, that should, kind of help dictate that. And, hopefully we'll show you some reports that maybe you've not seen um, when we get in the system. So, um, and pretty much at that point, once you've determined that report, you might run it a few times or test it out to see, am I getting the data that I want in there? And then I would document the options that you selected. So if you ever had to recreate this, or you wanted to do it similarly in the future, that you have all those steps that you've chosen, so that you can recreate this if you want to do it for like maybe a different reason. Maybe you filtered for all of your math instructors, and you want to send one out similarly to like all your English instructors, that kind of thing. And then finally, it's just really going through and scheduling the report. So once you have the audience that you want to reach with that report, and you figured out, the frequency, it's just a matter of going through the steps. This should be pretty straightforward. Kind of has a little wizard that you go through. And how you get to this once you've actually scheduled the reports is under the reports. When you click on that main menu item, you're going to go to the view schedule reports. So this will show you all those reports that you've actually scheduled. But to actually schedule them, that's what we're going to look at now. So let's try that out. And here's a sample account. So I'm just going to log in with my admin credentials. All right, and clear a little notification here, but we're going to go to reports. And one of the good ones that I was saying was like if you have where your tutors are adding comments, or completing an assessment on those particular sessions that they've had with students. So this might be a good one that you could either send out to the students, or maybe even the faculty of those courses. And so there's 3 different types of report. You can actually figure out which one you like the best. Sometimes like this results one, I think it has charts and stuff, so it might be more of like a summary. So depending on who you're reporting to, there might be a different report that works best. So we're going to look at like the detailed one, and I've got different options. So if I wanted to filter out for different locations, let's say I could pick a different location, maybe even different services. And let's say I'm going to do this just for tutoring at the tutoring center. So we'll go ahead and select those options. And one thing you do always have to choose, like if you're choosing anything that has kind of like an assessment or survey, you will have to select which one that you're going to be pulling. And I can also choose the time range. So when you're doing these reports, if you know that you're going to do them, let's say for every week, I might want to look at these non-specific options here. So instead of doing like my own custom dates, what I would do is probably do like the last week or last 7 days, for instance, if I was going to do a weekly, or we have last 30 days or last month. And there's benefits to each. So if we do last week, it's going to be from Monday to Sunday of that last week, whereas the last 7 days is literally going to be from the last 7 days from when I set this to go off. So depending on how your weeks fall, one might work better than the other one, or when you're scheduling, these. So I'm going to use last week because that way I know that it's specifically that um, last week's data. And we'll include the class information so that the instructor would know what class they're from. And I'm going to probably send this to the instructors, so I'll show you how that works. But once we have viewed the report first, to maybe see what it looks like. Okay, and I don't have actual data, but if I did, that would all be shown here with all the details of who came in for those tutoring between, and you can see like an example of like what it would do for, let's say it went out this week. I'm going to have that last week or the previous week included on it. So you can just use these filters, even if it's something you're starting before you actually have visits, kind of like in this case. But once I'm happy with that, I can go back to this, and I'm going to go ahead and uncheck that. I don't know why that was selected. We'll make sure that our services are set again. All right. And that we have the right survey selected. And it is set to last week. Okay. And sometimes if I pin these using these little pin filters, it can actually remember what I selected last, but it won't remember it until I hit like view or schedule report. Okay, now that I'm going through the scheduling process, I want to make it a name that I'm going to be able to easily remember. Oh yeah, that's what I scheduled that for. So we'll say like weekly instructor. I don't think I filtered on um, any instructor, so I'm just going to say instructors, like general tutoring report. And here you can see in the options I have daily, weekly, monthly. So we're going to set that for weekly, and maybe I want this to go out on Tuesday, so it gives me at least Monday to kind of correct any logs or anything before it goes out. But it is going to be the last week, so whatever the last week is, so that gives me the freedom to kind of set it to any day. I could set it to Wednesday or any day of the week that I want that to go out. And we can say like around what time. So that's why we have the little kind of squiggly there, is it should go out around 6 a.m. and it gives you an idea of what that will look like on a weekly basis. So for the next 5 sends or so, what date you're looking at. So I'm going to click next, and I get a lot of different options here. I can either send this to an individual uh, using the specific email address or specific people. The difference between these two are specific people. They have to be in Accudemia for that, and you can actually look them up by name. Um, If it's somebody outside of Accudemia that I'm just maybe sending this to, I do like specific emails for that. And then I have my own personal, email address that's set on Accudemia, so I can use that as well. But in this case, I want to send this to the instructors, and I want to do it for all instructors. Now, when I would have previewed that report, I would have seen every visit in there because I'm doing it as an admin. But we don't want them all to get that same report. And I changed my terminology to say professors, but it's really instructors here. So this first option basically will allow me to send them individualized reports. So this is what I would want to check so that they don't get the same report as I would as an admin. And it's only going to send them the information that is pertaining to them. The last step is really just verifying everything looks good. So it's going to go to all the instructors, and it's going to be the week before with all the information that we set in the filters back on the report screen. And they're each going to get a different report. So it's not going to be the same for every instructor. And then we hit finish. Should be scheduled now. And then we just wait for that day that we set it to, like Tuesday, and see it come through. Now, if I go back to the report section or click on reports up here, and I want to see those now that they're scheduled, I'm going to go into the view scheduled report. And let's see, which one was it? Weekly, I think instructor report, I called it. Yeah, weekly's instructor tutoring report. So this one has not ever been ran yet, but it will tell you the last time it ran, when it's scheduled to run again. And if I were to double click it, I can inactivate or change the name of it as well. I can also edit it from up here by selecting it, and that brings that same screen. Or I could delete that if I don't, do not need it any longer. So, but yeah, there's quite a bit of reports. A lot of times, you're going to probably be running something from center attendance because this is going to have all of your center visit history. And like I said, it's really kind of up to you if you've ran several reports here and you see which one you like the best. Like I said, the traffic analysis is good if it's more for just wanting to know general visits and how those are, graphed out. And we actually have a ton of different reports, but you can choose to do maybe by service report to see how many people come in for different services. You can filter by the locations. So maybe I only want to know that for my center. That can be something that's scheduled out. And I'll just, for this one, I'm going to do just a custom time, just so you have an idea of maybe what this would look like. And I'll do a few different charts so you can kind of see all that. Now, because it's doing all those reports in one, it might take a second, and also it's going to give you like a zip file when you're done. So you'll either download or click here. Okay, and I'll just extract all of them. Okay, so here I've got a bunch of different reports here, and we can look at those. Oh, keeps opening on the other window. So this one, for instance, is the average session time per day of the week. So we can see that on Monday and Tuesday, they tend to stay longer, and then it kind of trickles down, except for Wednesday's a lower spot as well. And that's just the average session time. Let's see, what else do we have? Let's look at the one that I was talking about, the visits by service. So if you wanted to send that. And you can kind of see that we mainly do tutoring here. So there are a little bit more skills session and computer use, but mainly tutoring. It's kind of neat. And let's do one just like by hour and day of the week. So this is really colorful. So each one of these colors is a different day of the week. So you know, whatever colors you see the most of, you know, you can kind of see, okay, for instance, Tuesday is a pretty busy day. Also Thursday, it's got quite a few on there. And there's different types of reports. So this one says session time. So it's like the amount of time that they spend. And so this one actually says like the hours of the day as well. So you can see, for instance, from 3 to 4 p.m. it's pretty busy, and also maybe toward the morning we get a little rush, and kind of maps out the day for you. There's also different ways to view that where it's more like the week, and here, let's see this one. Is it this one? This one's similar to that, but this one actually is the number of visits for the different days of week. So again, this is different data. So we got Tuesdays pretty busy, and Thursday. Just kind of neat analysis. Those are things that you could send out depending on who's looking at the data. Something that's more detailed, we go back to the reports options, is like the attendance by class. If like maybe you're sending that out to a professor, so they want to know more of the details about the class, or even attendance by professor. That's actually a really good one. I like this one because, and my terminology's changed, but it would say instructor for you if you have the default. And the reason why, was it this one? This one does have positive hours on it. So there are different reports, and I think there was one that I was looking for. Let's see. Okay. Not sure, but that's the thing. Like I would kind of go around, try different ones, see which ones work out best. Because I thought there was one in here, and maybe they got rid of it and just added it to all of these reports, but they would report the visits. Jorge, do you know off the top of your head if which one that is? I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure right now, honestly.
Okay, yeah. And I'm sorry, I probably should have pulled that beforehand, but yeah, I mean, these are really good. Let me just run one so you can kind of see what that is. So I'm gonna go ahead and select all of my spring 2022 and just run that report. Oh, and that one was blank. I might have to go back and select the previous semester. Okay, this is a little bit better. Okay, so this is the one by class. So what it's going to do is actually going to show you the class, the professors that are teaching that class, and then all the students that came in, how many hours they spent in that class for tutoring, or every time they selected it for that center. And you can see like this one is actually like the admin report, so I'm actually getting all the classes. But if this was sent to individual instructors, they would just see like the classes that they helped with or instructed. So, all right. I think that's really all I have to kind of show you in those. Kind of want to leave this open for questions, so that way if you had any questions, we could go into that. Let me go back to the slide here.
All right. So I was just going to say, I was just saying thank you, Nick. So at this time, we will take questions on the topic. So you can feel free to unmute your microphone or you can ask your questions in the chat. Sajad asks, would you please talk a little bit about the schedule report? He says, I just saw a tab where you were showing this report. So any report, pretty much any report can be
Oh
scheduled,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. So it's really any report, and let me pull that back up. So when I go to the report section, all the reports, like it doesn't matter, even if I go in different sections, because maybe you want to send a report that just is showing enrollment data or whatever. So any of these that I click on, it's always going to be right next to the view report. It's going to have the schedule report.
So what
Yep.
that means is it's an action where you schedule a report.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
And you're
Right.
building like a list of all those, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we would go view them. So once I go back to the main report section, I've got the view scheduled reports. And I can even view like the last 30 days of ran reports. So there's a view past reports as well. So anything that's ran in the last 30 days, I'll have a log of that as well.
Mhm.